Now, I want to say the most important thing that I believe anybody would say tonight. And I cover politics in Washington, D.C. I cover the Congress of the United States. Here's the thing you need to remember. We do not have a deficit crisis in America. We do not have a debt crisis in America. You, people here, I, all my family, all my friends, all your family, all your friends, we pay huge amounts of taxes every year into the federal government of the United States. We pay enough money into the federal government of the United States to protect this country from any threat, foreign or domestic. We pay enough money into the government of the United States to provide not just the start of a health care plan, but single-payer Medicare for all, health care for all Americans. We don't pay enough money to maintain Social Security. We pay enough money to expand Social Security so that every citizen of this country could retire at age 62 with full benefits. We don't pay it enough to save Medicare and Medicaid. We pay enough to expand Medicare and Medicaid. We don't pay enough to assure that every child who wants to go to college can go to college. We pay more than enough so that they can go all the way through graduate school. We pay trillions of dollars into the treasury of this country. We fill that treasury with our hard work, our hard labor, our sweat, and our blood. That treasury is full of money. There is not a deficit crisis in this country. There is not a debt crisis in this country. The money in our treasury is sufficient so that we need never accept poverty in a land of plenty. The money in our treasury is sufficient so that every American can have a piece of the dream. The money in our treasury is more than sufficient so that we could say, never again will a family have to hold a bake sale to pay for a bone marrow transplant. Never again will friends and neighbors have to try and raise the money so that a laid-off worker can get her cancer treatment. We have enough money in our treasury to care for every American in every circumstance. We have enough money in our treasury so that no poor child will ever have to eke out an education in a crumbling school while a wealthy child is taught in a palace. We have enough money to make this an equal and just and fair nation for every child in this country, for every adult in this country, for every senior. We don't have a debt crisis. We don't have a deficit crisis. There's not a spending problem in Washington. What we have in Washington today, is a priority crisis. We have a vision crisis. We have a moral crisis. Because we have leaders in Washington who take that money that you pour into our treasury and they say, well, we've got just enough to keep paying for George Bush's war and Dick Cheney's empire. But we don't have enough for that kid who needs a bone marrow transplant. We've got leaders in Washington who say, oh, we've got more than enough to bail out a too-big-to-fail bank. But we don't have enough money to make sure that a farmer stays on the land in Missouri. We have people in Washington. We have people in Washington who say, oh, no. We spent too much on the wars and the bailouts. We don't have enough money to pay for health care or housing or education. Well, they're wrong. They're wrong. Because if they can pull the brake, if they can stop spending money on health care and education and housing and the needs of the people of this country, then we can pull the brake on their wars and their bailouts and say, no, we're going to spend this money on the people of this country, not on the elites, not on some foreign country. We're bringing that money home. It is possible. It is possible. And that's the problem we have in this country. We have a media in this country. We have a media in this country that tells us every day that we're broke. We're not broke. We have all the money we need. What we don't have, we don't have the moral vision. We don't understand that something's dead wrong in Washington. Something is dead wrong in the politics of this country. And I'm not talking Democrat or Republican here. I'm not talking liberal or conservative. What I'm telling you is this. Somebody steered this country off its moral course. Somebody let the money changers into the temple. And they've run rampant. They've gone into the treasury and emptied that treasury. But we will refill it. We do it every year. We pay our taxes. And we gotta chase the money lenders from the temple. Now, who's gonna do that? I know. We say, oh, well, we've elected Barack Obama president. And you know, Barack Obama is a good man. Barack Obama is a fine man. And so are an awful lot of people in our Congress. But I remember something that Franklin Roosevelt said when the labor leaders of the 1930s came to the White House, right after he was elected. They said, Mr. Roosevelt, you're a fabulous friend of ours. We know you're promising us a New Deal. Here's the list of things that we need. Jobs, education, opportunity, all the programs. We need a Civilian Conservation Corps. We need a WPA. We need a TPA. We need a whole alphabet. And Franklin Roosevelt looked at his list and he said, well, I agree with everything on this list. It's a wonderful list. Go out and make me do it. Go out and make me do it. You know, I have a pretty busy life. Cover politics for a living. It's an election year. Got a little girl, she's 7 years old. She doesn't always know why I have to travel other places and do other things. Got a family and friends. I love to spend time with them. But I know I have to be here tonight with you folks. Because I look across this country, I watch the politics of this country very closely. And I will tell you this. In the whole of this republic, I cannot think of an organization that is more likely to go out and make this country do the right thing than Grassroots Organizing Missouri. GRO Missouri. You are the people who are going to go out and make them do it. And you're not alone here in Missouri. You are part of a national network. Part of a national network with National People's Action. And let me make it very clear to you. National People's Action is the central organization for challenging economic power, for challenging economic abuse in this country. You are in the room. You are at the core of the struggle for economic justice in this country because you are associated with GRO and you are associated with National People's Action. And that's why I come here tonight.